tippylovesyou.com.
It's time to relax. It's time to find a quiet place. Close your eyes and drift away. It's time to spit out the ego gristle and drink deep on the hot milk of insignificance. It's time to unravel. It's time for Tippy. Exercise 3. You find yourself in a really quite cozy king-sized bed, all alone with yourself. Just you. It's quite possibly got a memory foam topper. And from the tips of your toes, all twinkling like midnight stars, to the tippy top of your hair-topped dreambox, you feel a deep, deep sense of relaxation. You're deeply and blissfully alone in this special king-sized bed. And you're sinking now like a plump cherry into some sadly melting ice cream. Sinking into a most blissful ecstasy of nothingness, second only to the carefree, mindless pleasure of heavily medicated euthanasia, or perhaps a particularly potent autoerotic asphyxiation session. Focus on your toes now, while the rest of you sinks deeper, deeper into the memory foam palace of night. Stretch your toes out as far as they'll go. Farther, farther, and then in the midnight hum of this magical candlelit room, your toes can finally relax. You've had enough of that now. From the cozy nest of your melty ice cream bed, begin to stretch out your fingers. Stretch and stretch until they start to tingle, all warm and sparky like a toaster in a bathtub. Stretch, stretch, and relax. It's time for your neck. The neck you contort into unnatural positions while looking at your stupid phone in bed. The neck that bravely holds your meaty head aloft while you burn out your eyes in front of a screen for hours without respite. Oh, achy, feel great neck, we are sorry and we are grateful. Take a nice, deep breath now. Feel it filling your chest, expanding your stomach out. Hold it and relax. And again, take in a nice deep breath. And now feel your neck extending out from your collarbone. Good. Oh yes, and feel it actually getting longer now, and pushing your head off the pillow, off the end of the bed. Your neck is extending inch by inch, empowered by the light burning bright in your chest collar, distancing the clavicle, growing and growing. And as it grows, it lifts your head above the room, and you find yourself looking down on the warm flicker of the candlelight, on the lovely memory foam-topped bed, and your prone body lying there as the room feels smaller and smaller, further and further below. And as the room is starting to fill with neck, you spy the dance of the breeze ruffling through a net curtain. Yes, there's a window, a slightly open window. Deftly, you tongue and then bite the side of the window and tug it open all the way. Your teeth feel weird and it tastes of hairy dust. But now you're free. Free for your head to spring out into the night like the happiest of all jack-in-the-boxes. It feels quite lovely as your head plunges forth into the glittering blackness of the night outside, propelled by the powerful spring of your pendulous neck. High above the city, just take it in. Everything is yours, and you are its skybound god of meat and dreaming. Before you, the neon arcs and twinkling lights of the midnight metropolis, half awake, half asleep, from the highways to the harbour. Behind you, the monolithic tower building spewing out your glorious neck from a window high up in that matrix of glass and glowing amber light. Blacked out windows reflecting the stars, and the slow, sleepy blink of red beacons perched above it all, describing its impossible height. Let's look in some windows. Hundreds of windows above and below, glittering, glistening, muted and lit. Feel the cool night air now, like 1,000 saucy kisses against your anaconda-like neck, as your head rushes along the glass and steel plane of the tower. There's a dim light in this window. Let's peek inside. It's a one-room apartment, flecked in unfolded clothes, an unmade roll bed on the floor, tissues, empty plastic food cartons. Who's in here? Ah, yes. There he is. There at the back, his crown bald head slightly glistening. The sad and lumpy sole occupant of this insalubrious abode. From your place outside the window, on your massively extended neck, hundreds of feet above the city, you see the plump vest and underpanted morass of him drooping, half liquid, over the low-backed, faded office chair. Perhaps it was pink once, or maybe maroon. Over his shoulder, the green and black flickering screen of a beige terminal. His hands flutter and punch at the light brown slabs of keys. The screen fills with text shapes, sigils, crude icons, fluttering to life in backslashes, @marks, backticks, and numerals. You see a thin bead of sweat making its way from the green-tinted pate of his crown down to the top of his spine, then lost in the forest of his back hair. He picks up a half-spent cigarette from a dirty dinner plate, then stubs it out at once before returning to his ballet of fingerwork. Your gaze drifts away, and your neck drifts after it, your head a few beats behind. Now the heaving porcine meat of your magical beanstalk neck begins to drift and sway towards some new portal into other people's lives. Circling the building, turning one corner and another through the darkness and nothing to see here frames of sleeping rooms and closed curtains, a curious glow catches your eye, spilling softly from a window beneath you. First green, then mauve, then a sickly vitamin supplement orange. Let's take a look. It's a child's bedroom, a nightlight cycling through a pastel pastiche of the rainbow's colours, painting the room and everything in it. There are brightly coloured boxes and shelves, and here, in a bed shaped like a little boat, a boy, no more than 5 or 6, is sleeping. See the sleepy boy there, so sweetly resting. What's he dreaming about? There are monkeys on the bedspread. You begin to drift away from the window when the door to the room slowly yawns open, silently, amber light spilling in from the hallway. The glistening bald pate of the overweight man from upstairs slowly slides into view followed by his half-liquid, underwear-clad form. He distends his features in what appears to be a series of strange facial exercises, pushing the muscles of his mouth into a cavernous grin, raising his eyebrows as far as they'll go, then scrunching his eyes tight shut and wrinkling his crimson nose. Now his mouth makes an ooh shape, and his eyes shift all the way to one side, then the other. His skin is flabby white like uncooked pastry dough, but his gums and mouth are black and glossy like a slug's back. He's moving into the room now, smoothly, as if pulled on casters, and in his hands something glistens. A small, thin pair of forceps caught in the nightlight's rainbow dance as he continues on exaggerated tippy toes towards the bed and the sleeping child within. You can see he has a crude tattoo across his chest that says, "Angel of the Morning." You try to shout to warn the boy in the bed, but your voice box is half a building away, and all that issues from your spittle-flecked lips is the parody of an office fart. With all your might, you pull back and back and back some more, and spring at the window like a meaty pinball, cracking into the pane with a dreadful thud. The glass is thick. The window does not crack. You recoil again, and using the full force of your monstrous neck, ram your skull once more against the glass. Boof! The dead sound finally seems to rouse the child to wakefulness. He stands in his Transformers pajamas, rubbing his eyes, then strains to see out of the window into the murky moonlight. You try to gesticulate to the boy to let him know of the impending attacker who stands motionless behind him now with forceps aloft, but your efforts amount only to a series of wide-eyed head nods with gritted teeth urgency. Alas, the child sees your floating head hanging there so high above the city streets and fails to note either the intention behind your exuberant gestures or the benevolence in your eyes. He screams. His mouth is at full howling gape as the man moves suddenly, his arm reaching around and plunging the forceps deep down the child's throat. The scream stops. The boy goes limp. The forceps emerge from the mouth, holding a small, shimmering piece of meat. It looks like a tiny, skinned rabbit, twitching and flinching about. The man holds it up to examine the thing from underneath, and seemingly satisfied with the catch, he strides out of the room. The boy casually climbs back into bed. You hurry to the next window to see where the man went, but he is not here. The next window shows a closing apartment door. You extend your neck further, stretching it around the corner of the building, and catch sight of him entering the stairwell. You round another corner and see him bounding up the overlit stairs in great barefooted strides, still with the forceps clutched in his plump and sweaty grasp. He exits into the corridor, and you follow his curiously gliding strides from one window to the next, breathless and dizzy. He stops at a door, fishes into a pouch hidden beneath a fold of abdominal flab, and from this draws out a keycard which he slides against the door before entering. Through Venetian blinds, you spy the man gliding with his forceps towards another bed, the meat thing glistening in the forceps in the candlelight of the room. You see his reflection in a bubbling fish tank filled with weeds. From your angle outside the window, you see a part of the bed, and in it, quietly twitching, naked feet. The man passes the bed and opens a great glossy black cabinet with the familiarity of one who knows its contents. You see shelf upon shelf of tiny dark vials in various colors, some labeled, some not. The man selects one from the lower shelf, pulls a cork from it with his teeth, and feeds ever so gently the tiny, twitching, skinned rodent thing into the vial with his forceps. He pushes the cork back in with his pursed lips in the grotesque parody of a kiss. With the vial returned to the shelf, he closes the doors before reverentially turning to the bed. He bows and whispers something before moving out of sight towards the head of the bed. A moment passes as he disappears from view, until you feel in a thrilling bolt of shock a clammy, chubby hand take your own from so far away into a half-limp handshake, pumping it up and down, and then releasing it, where it drops into the soft, downy comfort of the memory foam topper. The rotund gentleman appears back in view and begins to drift towards the door that he entered from. As he closes it, he seems to catch your eye, and the ghost of a smile flickers over his dark, rubbery lips, and he is gone. And now your neck begins to retract, to draw inwards, to unloop around the building, first gently and then violently. Your head whips backwards through the cold air of the city night in a swirl of visions and rushing blood, until at last it coils down, down to your restful body, resuming its place on your pillow. Feel all that tension in your neck dissipate now. Feel all of that stress and strain just disappearing into nothingness, like a meaty, twitching thing being sealed in a vial, in a cabinet. It's your cabinet, and the vial is yours too. Take a deep breath, and relax. Good night.